Ladies and gents, home studio reaction. This is the most addictive game by the channel Mmartincitopants. Martin. Yeah, this is Factorio. Obviously, everybody, Seth, then Mandalore, now even the Mmartincitopants is saying it's addictive. Right? Factorio, very powerful digital crack trademark. Okay. Some people say that, Mandalore gaming is just people say it's Seth syntax, alter ego or something like that because it's very similar. Is it the same thing with this channel? Because there's very similar take to it, right? I mean, I've never come across anybody saying that any game is like crack or any drug or anything, any addictive like that, right? And I've never come across a game where I just see a review and I'm like, holy shit, I must play this game. This is the first one, because of all the elements that it has. So I'm so excited to play this game. At the same time now I'm scared, because holy shit, what if I waste too much time with this? If I suddenly stop making videos or making videos way too less, you know what happened. But yeah. So let's always fun. Oh, okay, people were telling me to react to expanding to space in Factorio. That's another video from Mmartincitopants. Oh, what the hell, I'll do that tomorrow. Let's do this one today, I guess. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe so I know which type of videos to react to more, which type of channels to react to more. Should I do more Martin videos or not? Just comment down. And yeah, let's do this one.
Imperialism and the effects of excessive sleep deprivation on the body and mind. You play as this brave entrepreneur known only as the Engineer. He doesn't have an actual name, Engineer. So I'll call him Jimbo crash lands on a
yeah, I might have a bias playing this game because I'm a builder, right? I take contracts, subcontracts of factories and shit. So, and also I have a degree in engineering. So, playing this game, I had the engineer, I might have biased towards the game. So this is perfect game for me.
Strange alien world filled with an abundance of resources, strange trees, lakes filled with fish, and thousands of hostile alien hives. Jimbo, like most engineers, hates the indigenous population and will gladly eviscerate the natural landscape, cause untold death and destruction, and crush all resistance in pursuit of 2% faster gear production. Jimbo must use his hardened engineer hands to craft tools, machines, research new technologies, expand, and eventually make a dramatic and long overdue exit. However, our brave businessman is not alone. On this alien world are aliens, a bunch of very aggressive hippies who really do not like pollution, but simultaneously they feed off it to become larger, stronger, and much more vicious.
Are we sure that all those bugs and things don't just cause havoc because pollution make them crazy or something? Because it's fucked up that all this we create all these factories and pollution, and then we just lay on earth and just fuck off.
As one would expect, Jimbo doesn't like the number of illegal aliens entering his factory and would like to leave. In order to leave, Jimbo needs to construct a rocket. To do this, he's going to have to use his very wide engineer brain to develop a factory that produces and transports materials, researches technology, and can defend itself against the very ungrateful natives. Jimbo starts with only his roughened palms, a gun, a drill, and a furnace, and must transform the natural landscape into a producing at the highest capacity and the lowest standard of ethics possible. First, our boy Jimbo will need iron, copper, stone, and coal to power and build his startup. I'd recommend going out and vertically integrating a few huge rocks to quickly collect stone and coal. The drill and furnace are used to automatically mine and smelt ore into useful products. These products can be transported around with inserters and belts. Next, you'll need electricity to power your great ambitions. This is done at first with boilers and steam engines. They turn water and coal into electricity and fresh air. There will never be enough electricity, so make it big. The electricity will be used to power our better inserters, labs, and assemblers. Assembly machines are the foundation of any good factory. This is where all of your highly advanced products are produced. The labs are used to research new fancy technologies and are fueled with beakers full of various coloured, dubious liquids. This is what all the expansion is about. producing more and more dubious liquid to research better and better technologies. When does it end? Never. The research can go to infinity, and as such the expansion will never cease, and Jimbo's thirst for conquest will never be quenched.
Damn.
Speaking of conquest, just like in real life, you can create a military-industrial complex for your factory to fight off the brown terrorists. Biters, enemy of the factory and haters of progress. Each building in your factory produces pollution. Biters don't like pollution. Once they get a whiff of your
naturally enriched artisanal fresh air,
they will come. Biter hives absorb pollution to create more biters, more hives, and evolve.
look at these entrepreneurs, engineering their dreams and collaboratively forging ahead of the pack. Assertively initiating proactive leadership to establish a self-actualized, synergized, streamlined brand to leverage a brick-by-brick approach to cultivating a diverse, creative, economically sound network of integrated hives.
Just like a big business, I'll make some acquisitions, and the
Free market will reign supreme once again.
In the early game, the biters haven't been exposed to as much fresh air, and are very weak, but so is our brave, resourceful founder. I'd recommend getting to know the turrets. They'll be your best buds in the early game. Give your base a generous coating of turrets to facilitate expedited biter removal. Turrets and guns need ammo, which can be crafted by either your boy Jimbo, or by
Oh my god, first of all, the concept that one singular guy mines everything, creates this factory in its own is fucking ridiculous. But imagine if somebody can do it, right? I mean, the Iron Man 1 movie scene where he's, stuck in a cave and just create first Iron Man suit. I mean, somebody is so ingenious, he did all this shit. That would be ridiculous. Automation after that becomes easier and creates a massive factory. Whole concept is ridiculous, but it's also fun. And yeah, so I guess it is the case. The more pollution increases, the more bugs gets, I guess, more angry, and I guess it's affect them biologically, right? So in that sense, it will just gonna go amped up and amped up. I guess their numbers gonna rise. So you can just create a factory, right? As pollution rises, difficulty is gonna rise, more difficult enemies and things. So if your defense sucks, you're gonna get screwed entirely. If your power grids are not good, you're gonna get screwed entirely, because when somebody attacks and all power goes out, literally every defense goes down, right? You're the only one who's left now. So you have to plan in advance. If you don't, all your time spent is gonna be ruined.
by using assemblers. Initially you can just take the ammo straight from the assemblers and manually place it into the turrets. Or you can automate it and have your
Valued employees
transport the ammo into each of the turrets for you. This stage of the game is known as the scared bitch phase, where the biters are a legitimate threat to your beautiful, tiny shit factory. I wouldn't recommend going to war with the biters until they either begin encroaching on your land, or you encroach on theirs.
Play the Doom music.
The biters will also unionize and send out raiding parties to demand higher wages, workers' rights, and will attempt to tear down your great institution.
Really? Oh my
The
god.
military science pack can be used to research better union removal technology. Just like in real life, unions are removed with higher bullet damage, laser turrets,
air fresheners.
long-range eviction notices, and wait, Gandhi, what are you doing here? Yep, there are nuclear weapons in this game too.
Like the Gandhi said, if somebody slaps you at one cheek, send a nuclear bomb.
Nuclear weapons
Okay, isn't that a bit OP? Like using bombs and missile against critters?
provide a much more hands-on approach than the other endgame biter removal solutions. The most automatic way of
Ethically and responsibly.
terminating illegal aliens is by using artillery. Specifically, the artillery train. You can build outposts around large groupings of biters and deliver notices of eviction from many kilometers away. This is a good way of keeping the biters a good distance from all your fresh air, making them much less likely to intrude on your private land, and worst of all, unionize.
Now we're gonna talk about Dixon. Yep.
The closest I've ever come to experiencing aggressive addiction would definitely be Factorio. After I started writing the script, I decided to open the game in case I was forgetting anything. I opened the game at 9 AM and played near non-stop until 1 AM. All told, I probably spent around 4
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that happened to me with Skyrim. Not that level of, right? From 9 a.m. to 1 a.m., holy shit. But somewhere close to 10, 11 hours at one point. Right? I loved Skyrim so much. It would, it's not that, I don't know, people might argue that Skyrim is not that great compared to Oblivion, this and that. But, Skyrim looked great. It had the advantage of great mech. Every time I talk about Skyrim or any Fallout or Skyrim, people are like, oh, you're always compared. But yeah, that's my kind of a, measuring stick for me. Right, so when it comes to addiction, that's the closest thing I ever come across, I guess. Played it for 9-10 hours straight, and even though Morrowind might have been better game, the latest technologies, graphics, and game mechanics was so good with Skyrim that's the best Elder Scrolls game because of that. Because Morrowind, let's be honest, Morrowind overall game was great, but it was very I guess restricted with the graphics, but not just graphics, even the game mechanics, because the technology wasn't that great, right? That's why I hope that they remake it. Then you'll know how great Morrowind was. People will know, I guess. But in Skyrim was just the latest Elder Scrolls, and it was perfect. And so I spent way too much time doing things that raising up skills, magic skills, and all the different skills. Way too many things to do.
14 hours in Factorio that day. Not recommended for health, but it was certainly very fun. So how can this happen? Well, Factorio was full of positive feedback loops that build off each other. Kinda like crack. Each task you complete follows on seamlessly to the next, and are all building towards a final goal. For example, to get blue science we need a list of 3 items, some of which require oil. So we get oil, hook it up to a refinery, refine the oil into petroleum, combine petroleum with some water to create sulfur, use the rest of the petroleum with some coal to create plastic bars, and then use the plastic bars with green circuits and copper wire to make red circuits. Combine the red circuits with some of the sulfur and engines, and voila! Blue science. But we're not done yet. This little setup hasn't been optimized. So we make some more assemblers for blue science, but there are a lack of red circuits, so we increase the scale of it.
Oh god.
It never ends.
Yeah.
But poor planning, a slow computer, and
Terrorism
can definitely cap out the amount of science per minute you can make. Once you progress further along the tech tree, new, faster methods of extracting labor from your employees are unlocked, and more productive,
less ethical,
and much more
profitable
designs become possible. The research does take quite a long time, so the added complexity is only after you've built enough of the factory and mastered some of the basics. Designing modules for the factory, sticking them on and watching your creation work is a feeling that only the strongest, most refined crack can emulate. You'll have to make some sacrifices if you want to play Factorio. Only small things though, like socializing.
The assemblers are my friends.
Or sleep. Factory isn't going to build itself, unless you literally make it build itself. Or food. Come on bro, this raw fish.
Yeah, rather than hearing all my friends' bullshit, I'd rather hear gears turning, right? All the mechanical sound.
You can just eat the raw fish, bro. Come on, it's good. It's got a lot of calories, bro. Just eat the raw fish. There's heaps of protein, bro. Just eat it.
I have come here to chew grass.
Once you've built your starter factory, got some blue science, and scratched Jimbo's expansion itch, things start getting interesting and more difficult. You'll probably start to notice that the game becomes less about making items than it does about transporting items. This is measured with also a convenient way of measuring urethral diameter. There are several ways to transport items, some of which are more effective than others. Number 1. Manually moving them in and out of your inventory. Definitely the highest, but not automated at all, and only reserved for Factorio plebs, like myself. Making inserter lines. Why? Belts. The
Why?
staple
Because
of any
it's cool.
solid base. Fairly high throughput, depending on which of the 3 tiers of belt you use. More belts can be added in parallel when
Oh my
even higher
God.
throughput is needed. Usually belts will end up pretty messy, which is good. If you want to avoid your factory resembling
Is there a chance that, by playing this game, you could create, develop some kind of a depression that all the factory workers sometimes have, right? Staring at conveyor belts and, I guess, machine all day long. What if, I mean, obviously it's gonna be fun playing this game, but what if after, staring at all these different factories all the time, this does this, oh my god. What if after a week you realize, okay, I'm a very different person than I started with. I need to get my shit together now.
I'd recommend building a boss. Basically just a bunch of belts in a line that are spaced far enough apart that underground belts can go between them.
Boss.
Is good because it centralizes where all of your resources go. It's easy to add more stuff off a bus because you just branch off like a tree. Bots. Use these guys when you can't be bothered making belts
Oh
anymore.
yeah.
Bots can fly over everything and are paid a very generous $0 wage.
Workers who
Bots
don't
are
have
especially
union.
useful when your base looks like everyone's favorite Italian pasta. Bots technically have an unlimited throughput because you can always just add more, but it's a bad idea using bots for high volume transportation over long distances. Finally, I don't care what other people think, trains are cool. Don't ask me how to use trains because I kinda understand, but definitely not enough to explain to other people. This video on absolute basics is over an hour long, so they're pretty complex. But once you get the hang of trains, you can never go back. Trains allow for extremely high and they're trains. Trains use train stations for logistical control. They can be set up to leave for specific conditions, like leave when the cargo is empty to go get more. In my first few bases, I went with a simple point-to-point train system that had a rail that could only be used for one train at a time.
Seriously, man, what the fuck was the mental state of developers when they created this? How many scripts they had to put in? Like, okay, we're gonna create trains. Okay, give them the commands, different type of automation commands, right? Let's create those scripts. Like, holy shit, when the car goes down, you need to do this, you need to... Just for the train, and train is just one feature of the game. There are a million other features like robots and, the spider legs type of robots, defense mechanism, and combining all them together, like, holy shit, does something overlap or something causes some kind of an issue? So I have to, I guess, check all of them by playing it. I find new respect for people who made games like this right after reacting to Seth's videos. Because I never played any game that has a top view, right? I always play AAA game thinking it's gonna be great because, I like immersive, realistic graphics type of game above anything. But after seeing all these reviews, I have newfound respect for all these developers, small-time developers especially, who put way too much effort into things like this. Because I have never seen any AAA game who somebody puts this kind of effort. After seeing this, I'm like, Witcher 3's developer, right? How many effort they put? That's nothing compared to what? Dwarf Fortress, Space Station 13, now this game Factorio, how much details they put in.
This is much simpler initially, but harder to scale up. I'd recommend using one-sided trains with 2 or even 4 sets of rails, 1 lane in each direction. Recently I've begun using a modular system, where all the trains share the same basic rail and can go in and out of different modules to deliver materials. Trains can be pretty dangerous, which adds to a base's cool factor. They move very fast, and even when zoomed all the way out, they can cruise in and delete you without warning. Placing signals is the difficult part of trains, but now that they're...
That is the next best thing. I saw, that review from other Mandalore Gaming. He just talked about that. Imagine creating all this shit, creating nuclear train that goes really fast, and stepping onto the, fucking tracks and train just runs you over. The guy who created all these things is dead now. Who's gonna repair everything? And just things are gonna run until the power runs out. That's it. Then you have an empty thing with just critters running around. Somebody come across like, who did all this shit? Oh, look at that. There's a decomposing body.
handy colored lines, understanding what's going on is definitely a bit easier. Basically, the signals divide rails into blocks. That's all I know. I would say the mid-game ends once you've flown your first rocket into space.
Endgame. Yeah, okay.
So, the first rocket has been flown. What next?
Expansion.
The focus now shifts away from and instead optimizing
Bottlenecks.
bottlenecks are anything in your factory that reduces total production. For example, if I've built a massive setup to produce, say, and I hook it up to a single refinery, it's obviously not going to function at capacity. To fix this bottleneck, I'll just add a couple more refineries to cope with the higher demand. But now there isn't enough oil being produced, so we go and expand the oil production, This is all great, but our factory is slowing down.
I think is this a PC game, PC only? Because if it's just a PC game, I'm pretty sure people are gonna realize what the fuck is bottleneck, right? Every PC gamer knows what a bottleneck is, because the kids, when they make create some kind of a PC, right? They're like, oh fuck it, just have a powerful graphics card. Who gives a fuck about processor? Then they learn about bottleneck. Then they realize, okay, I need an i7 or something like that.
And because there isn't enough electricity, so we go to stamp down a few solar panel and accumulator blueprints to cope with demand. Problem is, there aren't enough solar panels in storage. So we build a new solar panel producing module, but we've run out of blue belts. And what do blue belts need? We go around fixing up bottlenecks and slowly bringing up the factory's production, and finally we can produce lube at maximum capacity. Congratulations. The factory that made our first little rocket is now the starter base, and the real
Optimization.
begins. A very large amount of resources should be put into making level 3 modules, beacons, rails, belts, and other machines. This is where the factory starts getting into big boy numbers. Upgrade your train lines to 4 lanes. Place hundreds upon hundreds of beacons. Start saturating tens of belts worth of resources. And most importantly, do what must be done.
Now it's on the Forbes list. Factory's big now.
There isn't really a goal in the endgame other than trying to squeeze out every ounce of productivity from your factory. This is also the phase where time becomes an illusion, merely getting in the way of constructing your perfect factory. As you plunge deeper and deeper into your Factorio binge, the clock will begin to accelerate. Time itself will seem to slip away faster and faster. You will play until your entire body is shaking from hunger and dehydration. But this won't stop you. Those 10 minutes spent making food can and will be better spent expanding blue circuit production. As you fall deeper into a trance, you'll begin to hear voices beckoning. The factory must grow. The factory must grow. The factory must grow.
The factory must grow. The factory must grow. The factory must.
Generally, the endgame lasts until you hit your goal science per minute or die of starvation.
Some people say there are certain, chairmen and I guess entrepreneurs, creators of massive companies, right? Who gets older, right? Really old, like 70 plus, and still are in the company and is head of the company. And people are like, you're this old, why not just retire and hang out something? This is kind of similar thing, right? Because once you are at that point, right, you just like, I need more, I need more. Once you have all the things, I guess, under your palm, right, I can do everything. I have the stock with me. I can decide to create another company. I can decide to move it. I can decide, what should I do? There is always this rush that similar thing happens in this game. Like 10 minutes I could make food, but in the 10 minutes I could also do this. That's the same mentality these people have. That's why they never retire, because they have the power to do anything, right, with their company. And they can always just think, oh, maybe should I do this? Maybe I should create this. Oh no, mods.
Yep. There are heaps of mods for Factorio, many of which are completely game-changing.
Oh my god.
My personal favorites would be Factorissimo, Portal Guns, Rampant, Bob's Mods, and Dark Matter Replicators. Dark Matter Replicators aren't really all that smart. In fact, the premise is really dumb. It gives you these machines that can literally make anything in the game if you just give it enough power. I got this completely stupid, hideous factory well over 1,000 science per minute in only a couple of days.
Anything that breaks the games, I guess, even if it's something just a grind, it's grind for realisticness sense, realism sense, whatever. If you just make like, okay, if you give enough power, this can make anything, that kind of kills the purpose, right? Even though one guy doing all this shit is not realistic to begin with, but still.
Just because you can skip all the actual gameplay of Factorio and deliver science packs directly into the labs. Factorissimo. This mod is dope.
Okay.
It gives you these factory buildings that are vaguely TARDIS-y. Very fun to build tightly packed modules, or even build factory buildings.
Oh, I
inside
love
other
that
factory
shit. Sheds.
Portal
Yes.
guns. Anything that makes walking obsolete is good. Rampant. This mod makes the biters into more of a hive mind. Instead of individual hives building up an attack, all the hives surrounding your base will launch an attack at once in these huge waves. Very spooky and very fun.
Bob's like the
mods. This is really more.
You should have had that clip from, I guess, endgame or whatever, you know, Avengers Assemble, whatever. There is a massive fight with Thanos. He should have had that scene.
Of a mod pack,
Attack at
but
once.
it basically extends the tiers of your buildings and adds new stuff. Instead of machines and modules ending at 3, it gives you higher tier buildings for speedier, even less ethical production. My favorite addition would be the plasma turrets. Definitely the best way of defending yourself against the huge alien hordes, and also turning Jimbo into a fine, electrified paste. So that's it. Factorio. Do yourself a favor and buy this game, or I'll vertically integrate your cat. Also buy some crack. It's probably less addictive.
Yeah. Holy shit. I mean, seriously, there are certain elements of the game, like I found that in Fallout 4. The Fallout 4 settlement system does not even come close to Factorio, right? It's like calling it basic compared to this, even that is stupid. But even that, right, sucked me in creating way too many different structures. I found myself at one point just making settlements. And then I thought to myself, this is a Fallout game. What the fuck am I doing? I'm supposed to explore shit. But I just made settlement. I guess that one settlement thing kind of ruined the Fallout experience for me compared to the other games. That's why I consider Fallout 3 and New Vegas much better than Fallout 4, because it didn't feel Fallout, right? Because I was spending way too much time creating settlements. It felt more leisure than sense of survival that all the Fallout game has, right? But still, settlement, you know, I realized how addictive it is. Like once you create something, right, like you can always make it better. I can still refine this. So that would be amped up to 11 with this game, right? Because like he said, you need to create this, but in order to create that, you need these parts. But those parts are not just gonna, you know, you're not gonna find it anyway. You need to create those parts as well. You need to create factories, refineries. Holy shit. Oh, look at that. You can create this kind of different trains. Now how to make that efficient, right? Oh, look at that. I can change the route like that and make it more efficient. I can create these robots. I can create this defense. Why not create the best defense that is? Why not create all these turrets, right? As soon as everybody attacks it, they just got obliterated like that. All these thoughts would be so addictive that, you know, you can, before I turn off the game and shut off the PC and go to sleep, I'm pretty sure I can tweak this and make it more efficient. And when you realize, oh, look at that, sun's out. I didn't even go to sleep. So I can definitely see that happening. I guess tomorrow we'll see expanding to space. It's a mod or something? Or is it part of the game? I guess, I don't know. We'll see. Alright people, that was Factorio review by Mmartincitopants. If you liked my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe. That way I know if I should react to more from this channel or not. Comment down if you want to react to any specific video from this channel or any other. Even if I don't reply, I see the comments. Just start with the react to. Right, that's how I search all the recommendations. And yeah, I'll see you next time.